يا رايحين على مصر مين يبعت سلامي في كلمتين يا هلا الله مشتاق لناسها الطيبين ودي ياما فيها مخلصين يا ما شاء الله وفي أزهر العلماء تقدر تقول ما تشاء ده أنا والله بدعي لهم رب السما وقولوا آمين إن شاء الله إن شاء الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وحسن أخلاقنا بالحلم واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. This is the lesson number 6 in the series of lessons that are meant to provide a guide for a student who wishes to pursue serious studies in the school of Imam Shafii rahimahullah ta'ala. We are on the third part of this 7-part series, if you will. We are trying to cover 7 different things in this series, and we are currently on the third part, where we're talking about the development of the school of Imam Shafii after Imam Shafii all the way until the 14th century. So last time we talked about the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th centuries Hijrah, and the main scholars who came in those centuries who wrote important works in the Shafi'i school. And we want to continue, inshallah, with the 8th century. In the 8th century, we had a number of very important scholars, Shafi'i scholars, but I would just like to mention 5 of them whose names are important for any Shafi'i student to know. The first one is Najmuddin ibn al-Rif'ah. Najmuddin ibn al-Rif'ah, who died in 710 Hijrah. And he authored a number of works. The most famous one of his works is a sharh of Al-Wasit, which is a book by Imam al-Ghazali. We mentioned it last time. And this book is 40 volumes. Unfortunately, it's not in print today. Not even a single volume. But Ibn al-Rif'ah was an important scholar, and we'll talk about why, of the 8th century. But let's mention a couple more. Another one is Taqiyuddin as-Subki. Taqiyuddin as-Subki, who died in 756. He was given the title of Sheikh al-Islam in his time. And he has a number of works as well. One of his most important works is a sharh of Al-Minhaj. Sharh of Minhaj al-Talibin of An-Nawawi, and in fact he has another one, a sharh of the Minhaj of Imam al-Baydawi. So Al-Minhaj is a name that there are 2 books with the same name. There's Al-Minhaj of Imam al-Nawawi in fiqh. He wrote a sharh on that, and there's another minhaj in usul by al-Baydawi, and he also wrote a sharh on that minhaj. So he has two commentaries on the two minhajas. And then he also has famous fatawa of Imam as-Subki, which are very famous, in which he deals with a lot of very important issues. For example, the famous fatwa of Imam as-Subki about moon sighting that is often referenced in the West, especially today, is found in the book of Fatawa of Imam Taqiyuddin as-Subki. Then we also have in this century, in the 8th century, the son of Taqiyuddin as-Subki, which is Tajuddin as-Subki, who died in 771 Hijrah. And he is the author of Tabaqat al-Shafi'iyya. Tabaqat al-Shafi'iyya. Okay. He's the son, he's the father. Taqiyuddin as-Subki, Tajuddin as-Subki. Tajuddin as-Subki is also the author of a famous book in usul called Jam'ul Jawami'. Jam'ul Jawami'. Then we have also another scholar at this time, Jamaluddin al-Isnawi. Jamaluddin al-Isnawi, who died in 772, just 1 year after Tajuddin as-Subki. And he has a number of books as well. One of the most important books that he authored in Shafii school was Al-Muhimmat. Al-Muhimmat. And another important work that he wrote is Nihayat As-Sul. Nihayat As-Sul, which is a book in Usul al-Fiqh that is studied in Al-Azhar in Kulliyat al-Sharia until today. Nihayat As-Sul, that was written by Al-Isnawi. Another important book that Al-Isnawi wrote is called At-Tamheed. At-Tamheed, which is a book that we learned, that we studied with our late Sheikh Imaduddin Iffat, rahimahullah ta'ala, wa ja'alahu min ash-shuhada. Okay, so this century, the 8th century, is the century of confirmations, what I call the century of confirmations and objections. Confirmations and objections. These scholars, some of these scholars, either confirmed or objected to the scholars of the previous century, Al-Rafi'i and Al-Nawawi. Al-Rafi'i and Al-Nawawi are considered to be the scholars who laid down the preponderant position of the Shafi'i school once and for all. They laid down the preponderant position, the mu'tamad position of the Shafi'i school on every issue once and for all, and they ended all the debates that existed before them, the debates between the Khurasanis and the Iraqis and other debates as well. They once and for all ended those debates, established the preponderant views, and then after them in the 8th century came scholars who reviewed the tarjihat, who reviewed the preponderances of Al-Rafi'i and Nawawi, and they either confirmed or objected to them. And the main people who did that are these, and especially Imam Ibn al-Rif'ah and Al-Isnawi in his book Al-Muhimmat, which is, by the way, Al-Muhimmat is a commentary, if you will, of Rawdat al-Talibin and Al-Sharh al-Kabir of Sharh al-Kabir is another name for Al-Aziz. I didn't mention that before when I was talking about Imam al-Rafi'i. So Al-Muhimmat is a sharh of Al-Aziz and Al-Rawdah. Al-Aziz of Imam Al-Rafi'i and Al-Rawdah of Imam Al-Nawawi, Rawdatul Talibin, as we mentioned last time. This is a critical commentary of those two books. So this was the age then, this was the century of critique of Nawawi and Rafi'i. And after this century, therefore, in the 9th century, by the 9th century then, Nawawi and Rafi'i's preponderances had pretty much become indisputable. 9th century and especially by the 10th century. So in the 9th century, by the way, I forgot to mention one more important scholar of the 8th century. One more important scholar of the 8th century, which is Badruddin al-Zarkashi. Badruddin al-Zarkashi, who died in 794 Hijri, and one of his most important works is called Khadim al-Rafi'i wal al-Rawdah. This is a commentary of Al-Aziz and Rawdatul Talibin of Imam Al-Nawawi. And another famous book that he wrote is in Usul, is called Al-Bahr Al-Muhit. Al-Bahr Al-Muhit, which is one of the most important works, if you will, in Usul al-Fiqh, one of the most comprehensive works in Usul al-Fiqh that was written by a later Usuli scholar, by al-Zarkashi. So now we go to the 9th century. And there are two main scholars that I would like to point out from this time. One is Ahmad ibn Arsalan. Ahmad ibn Arsalan, who died in 844 Hijri. And his famous book is called Az-Zubad, which is actually a poem. Az-Zubad fi al-Fiqh al-Shafi'i. It's a poem that is memorized, and there are multiple commentaries that have been written on this poem, and it is one of the books that is generally studied by a student of Shafi'i fiqh, as we'll talk about when we talk about at the end the curriculum, the traditional curriculum of the Shafi'i school. The other important scholar from this century is Jalaluddin al-Mahalli. Jalaluddin al-Mahalli, who died in 864 Hijri, and he wrote Kanzur Raghibin. Kanzur Raghibin. Which is a commentary on Minhaj al-Talibin of Imam al-Nawawi. Minhaj al-Talibin of Imam al-Nawawi, and we'll talk more about Imam al-Mahalli when we talk about the book Minhaj al-Talibin. So let's go on to the 10th century. Now, in the 10th century, we had a number of important scholars as well, and I would like to mention 4 of them, and these, every Shafi'i has to know these. Zakaria al-Ansari, Zakaria al-Ansari, who died in 926, and he had the title Sheikh al-Islam, And he is the Shaykh al-Islam. If we see this term in Shafi'i books, قال Shaykh al-Islam, Shaykh al-Islam said, they mean Zakaria al-Ansari. He is the Shaykh al-Islam when it comes to the Shafi'i school and the books of the Shafi'i school. And he wrote a number of books. One of the books that he wrote is Manhaj al-Tullab, which is a summary of Minhaj al-Talibin of Imam al-Nawawi. And then he wrote a commentary on Manhaj al-Tullab called Fath al-Wahhab. So this is now a commentary on Manhaj al-Tullab. And he also wrote a book called Asna al-Matalib, which is a commentary of a summary of Rawdat al-Talibin. So it's a commentary of Ar-Rawd, which is a summary of Rawdat al-Talibin of Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala. So as you can see, Zakaria Ansari was very interested in the books of Imam al-Nawawi, because as I said, Imam al-Nawawi is perhaps the most important Shafi'i scholar after Imam al-Shafi'i, and together with Imam al-Rafi'i, Imam al-Nawawi established the preponderant opinion once and for all for the Shafi'i school, and especially after the 8th and 9th century, when those opinions were critiqued and verified and approved. In the 10th century, people like Zakaria al-Ansari then paid a lot more attention to the works of Imam al-Nawawi, expounding, explaining them in his various works. After Zakaria al-Ansari came Shihabuddin al-Ramli. Shihabuddin al-Ramli, who died in 957. He is Ahmad al-Ramli. Ahmad al-Ramli, and his important work is his Fatawa of al-Ramli. He is the father of Shamsuddin al-Ramli. Shamsuddin al-Ramli, who died in 1004 Hijri and authored the book Nihayatul Muhtaj, which is a commentary on the Minhaj of Imam al-Nawawi. Okay, so Shamsuddin al-Ramli, who was the son of Shihabuddin al-Ramli, he is Muhammad al-Ramli. He is Muhammad al-Ramli, Shamsuddin al-Ramli, who died in 1004, and he authored Nihayatul Muhtaj, which is a commentary of Minhaj al-Talibin of Imam al-Nawawi. Then we also had two other scholars in this time period. So I want to keep the names here. So we have Zakaria al-Ansari, we have Ahmad or Shihabuddin al-Ramli, we have Shamsuddin al-Ramli or Muhammad al-Ramli. Then we have Al-Khatib al-Shirbini who is the author of Mughni al-Muhtaj, another famous commentary of Minhaj of Imam al-Nawawi, and he died in 977 Hijri. And then finally we have Ibn Hajar al-Haytami, Ibn Hajar al-Haytami, who died in 974 Hijri, and he is the author of Tuhfa al-Muhtaj, which is also another commentary of Al-Minhaj of Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah. These five scholars are all related to each other in the sense that these three are all colleagues. They're colleagues. They attended the same lessons with the same teachers, and their teachers were these two men. Zakaria Ansari and Shihab al-Ramli were teachers for all these three: Shams al-Ramli, Shams al-Ramli, Shirbini, and Ibn Hajar. Okay, so they were all related to each other. All three of these learned from these two, and then all three of these wrote commentaries on Minhaj al-Talibin, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about Minhaj al-Talibin. Then in the 11th century, we have two main scholars that I want to talk about. There is Ash-Shabra Mallasi, who died in 1087. Shabra Mallasi died in 1087, and he wrote a Hashia on Nihayat al-Muhtaj. Nihayat al-Muhtaj. And then we have Ahmad al-Rashidi, who also wrote a Hashia on the on Nihayat al-Muhtaj. And he died in 1096 Hijri. Alright, so modern day prints of Nihayat al-Muhtaj appear with these two Hashiyas at the bottom or on the side. Alright, so these are the major scholars of the 11th century Hijri. We'll stop here inshallah, and we'll continue with the 12th century next time. Wa sallallahu wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.
ووجههم عند مولى الفضل مقبول قوم إلى الله قد شدت عزائمهم وحبلهم بحبال الله موصول قوم على الملة السمحاء قد فطروا وشأنهم مع كتاب الله من قولوا أعطاهم الله ما شاءوا وأكرمهم كذاك قال الذي وفاه جبريل يا ربنا خذ بنا قلبا لساحتهم لنستريح ويحمى القال والقيل. العلماء لهم جاه ومنزلة ووجههم عند مولى الفضل مقبول.